Hello, good afternoon. Thanks for joining me again, or maybe you're joining us for the first time or joining me for the first time. So welcome, my name's Megan and we are going to do some yoga for about a half an hour. Just a reminder to let you guys know that when you're practicing yoga, to please listen to your bodies and do what feels right for you and your body. If something doesn't feel so great, you can modify, come out of the pose, come back to a comfy seated position just to breathe, or come into child's pose, which I will go over and show you guys again. So I hope everyone is feeling healthy. I hope you're all doing well. Today is an absolutely beautiful day, so maybe after you do some yoga, you guys can go outside and get some fresh air and some sunlight on your faces. All right. Let's come to a comfy seated position on our mats. Place your hands on top of your knees. Relax your shoulders away from your ears. Make sure your spine is nice and tall from the top of the crown of your head all the way down to your tailbone. Pull your belly into your spine, and let's take a deep breath in through our nose and a deep breath out. Breathe in again and breathe out. One more big breath in and big breath out. As a reminder, we'll be breathing through this entire class of yoga, and that is really something to focus on. This slow yoga breathing that we do really calms down any anxieties, any stress that we might be having. Another reminder, there's probably going to be some background noise. My children are both home with me, of course. And also, yeah, there might be dogs and cats that move around in the video. So, all right. So sitting up nice and tall, let's roll our shoulders back a little bit like this. Just adding a little movement to our shoulders, and then roll them forward. Maybe take a couple big swirls around like this, sort of warming up the core. Our body go the other way. Yeah. And then take a nice big breath in. Take your hands up over your head, press your palms together. On your breath out, take your right hand down onto the floor, stretch up and over towards the right. So you should feel a big stretch on the left side of your body. You can take a peek up at the ceiling. Breathe in and breathe out. Breath in, hands come up over your head, palms pressed together. As you breathe out, stretch one hand, that left hand goes down to the floor. And reach over to the left, stretching the right side of your body. Breath in and breath out. Come on back to center. We're going to twist up like a pretzel. So we're going to take your left hand and put it on your right knee. Take your right hand and put it behind you. Take a big breath in, sit up nice and tall. On the breath out, try to twist and maybe look behind you. Good. Come on back through center. We'll take that to the other side. So right hand to your left knee. Left hand is behind you. Sit up nice and tall. Big breath in. On the breath out, twist. So if you get your rights and lefts mixed up, or if I get them mixed up in the video, it's okay. Just make sure you do both sides. Come on back through center, and let's come into child's pose. So child's pose, big toes touch, knees come to the outside edges of your mat. Sit your butt back on your heels, and then stretch and reach your hands forward to the top of your mat. Allow your chest to drop down to your thighs and your forehead to relax and rest on your mat. This is child's pose, so take a big breath in. Big breath out. And while we're here, let's take our hands and walk both hands over to the right. Again, stretching that left side of our body, keeping your butt back on your heels. Walk your hands back through center. Big breath in. On your breath out, walk your hands over to the left, stretching the right side of your body. Nice. Come on back through center. And on your next inhale, come on up to your tabletop position. So hands are shoulders, shoulder width distance, knees are hips width distance, fingers are spread and open really wide. Tops of your feet are pressing into the mat. You have a nice neutral spine here, a nice long one from the tippity top crown of your head to your tailbone. You want to rotate your bicep muscles towards the front of your mat. From here, let's add some movement, our cat and cow stretching. So breath in, belly drops, chin lifts, look up. Breath out, press and round through your back. Chin to chest, breathe out. Breathe in, belly drops, chin lifts. Breathe out, press and round. So just matching these movements to your breath. You're breathing in as your belly drops. You're breathing out as you press and round. Great, come back to a neutral spine. And we're gonna come all the way up on our knees like this. Nice and tall on our knees so that we can drum our feet behind. And then you're gonna take your right foot and step it forward on your mat. So this is kind of like a low lunge. So you want your left knee still on the mat. Your right knee is gonna bend a bunch right now. And you're gonna let your hips press forward towards the front of your mat. While you're doing this, you're pulling back on your right hip and your left hip is pressing forward. So you can bring your hands to your right knee, or if you need a little more, you can take your hands up over your head and look up and add a small, tiny back bend here. And then breathe in and breathe out. And then hands will come down. And let's switch to the other side, because that's like one of the most important rules, or one of the rules of yoga is that if we're doing it on one side, we want to do it on the other. So now your left foot is coming forward. You're gonna really bend into that left knee, pulling back on the left hip as the right hip presses forward. Hands come to your left knee, or if you want to take the hands up, please do. Really stretch, reach back, protecting your low back by pulling your belly into your spine. Breathe in and breathe out, hands come down. Let's bring it back into our tabletop, and then maybe just wag your tail a little bit side to side. All right, we're gonna get ready for downward facing dog. So tuck your toes behind you. You really press really deeply into the palms of your hands. Lift your hips up towards the ceiling. Tailbone stretches and reaches up towards the ceiling. Chest presses back towards the top of your thighs. Relax your head and neck. Keep your fingers spread wide. Make sure your hands are still shoulders width distance and your feet are hips width distance. Your knees can stay soft and bent here, and you're trying to stretch your heels back onto the mat. Belly is pulled into your spine. Shoulder blades are pulling together and down your back. And really let the head and neck go. Maybe shake your head yes and no. Yeah, there we go. All right. Now, with your knees bent, take a look forward at your hands. Slowly walk your feet up to meet your hands at the front of your mat. Bring your feet out nice and wide to the edges of your mat. Fold your body forward and come into ragdoll. So really allow that head to drop, crown of your head towards the top of your mat. Grab opposite elbows, knees are bent and soft here. And take a breath in and a breath out. This is ragdoll. You can sway side to side. You can shake your head yes, shake your head no. And then allow your hands to drop back down onto the mat. Walk your feet back in together to touch. So big toes are going to touch. Your heels are a little spread apart with your knees very bent. Slowly roll your body all the way up to a standing position. Okay, nice. I'm not so sure you can see me, so I'm going to scooch back a little bit. Okay, all right. And we are going to get moving and flowing, moving through our sun salutations. So begin in mountain pose. Big toes are touching, heels are spread apart just a bit. Arms drop down to the sides of your body, palms face the front of your mat. Tuck your tailbone, pull your belly to your spine. Relax your shoulders away from your ears. Take a big deep breath in through your nose. Open your mouth and let it go. Breathe in again and breathe out. On your next breath, take your hands up over your head. Look up, reach up, press your palms together. As you breathe out, fold forward, come all the way forward. Let your hands come to the mat. On your next breath in, you're lifting halfway, so bringing your hands to your shins or your knees. Straight spine here. This is a halfway lift. On your breath out, bring your hands down. Let's bring our knees down. And then belly, chest, chin, come all the way down. Let your forehead relax down onto the mat. Tops of the feet are pressing into the mat. Your hands are right underneath your shoulders. Pull those shoulder blades together. And then on your next breath in, lift your heart and head to baby cobra. Yes, and breathe in and breathe out, fold forward. One more time. Big breath in, lift, lift, lift. Breath out. On your next breath in, you're going to press into the tops of your feet and come into upward facing dog. Pulling your chest and heart through your shoulders towards the front of your mat. You're pressing into the tops of your feet. Your knees and thighs lift. Your elbows can be soft. Upward facing dog. Maybe you lift your gaze and look up towards the ceiling. Exhale, bring your knees down, come through your tabletop position, tuck your toes, and press it back into downward facing dog. Yeah, and take a big breath in here, and a big breath out. On your next breath in, lift your heels high, bend your knees, look forward, and step your feet to the front of the mat. Breathe in, lift halfway. Breathe out, fold forward. Hope you guys are doing great. Now you're gonna really press down into your feet. As you rise, come up to a stand. Arms come out wide like wings. Take your hands up over your head as you breathe in, and then breath out, hands come to heart center. And then drop your arms down by your sides. Come back into mountain pose, and we'll do another sun A. Maybe with a different variation of how we get down onto the floor and back into upward facing dog, and then meeting back together again in downward facing dog. Might be a little different this time, and you can do it both ways. Breathe in, look up, reach up, press your palms together. Breathe out, fold forward. Breathe in, lift halfway. Breathe out, hands come down. This time, step your feet back to a high push-up position. And then, with your elbows staying super duper close to your body, you're going to exhale as you drop into low push-up. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, roll over the tops of your feet. Press it all the way back to downward facing dog. Breathe in and breathe out. On your next breath in, lift your heels high. Bend your knees, look forward. Step your feet to the front of the mat. Breathe in, lift halfway. Breathe out, fold forward. On your next breath in, you're gonna drop your hips down like you're sitting in a chair. Your knees are squeezing together, your thighs are squeezing together. You should be able to see all your toes when you look down, and lift your toes. So you wanna keep the weight in your heels, and then arms come and stretch up and out, rotating your pinky fingers together. Come into chair pose. And we're gonna sit here, and we're gonna breathe, and it's going to be uncomfortable, but we're gonna be able to do it. Because you're so much stronger than you think. So breathe in and breathe out. And we all are getting pretty comfortable sitting with things that are uncomfortable, right? We're getting a lot of practice with that. Take a big breath in and a big breath out. But I hope you guys are managing. I hope your family is managing. I hope you guys are well and healthy. Take another big breath in. And on this next breath out, let it fold forward. So you should feel some heat in your body now. Let's take a breath in, lift halfway. And a breath out, hands come down. Step it back, high push-up. As you breathe out, elbows bend, low push-up. Breathe in, upward facing dog. Breathe out. You can come through your table and come back into your downward facing dog. All right. Excellent. Let's walk our dog out here a little bit, bending one knee, straightening the other. Breathing while this movement is happening. And then bring that movement to stillness. And we're going to take our right foot and take it up nice and high. Make sure your toes are facing down towards the mat. Your heel is really flexing. And now you're going to look forward, step your right foot to your right thumb. And this is a low runner's lunge. And then take a look at your back heel, your left heel. You're going to let it spin in and place it down on your mat. You're going to root into your feet and rise into warrior number one. So we're bending deeply into that front knee. That right hip is pulling back. That left hip is shifting forward. Our shoulders stay facing the front of the mat. Arms come up over your head. Pinky fingers rotate in towards one another. The outside edge of our back foot is really pressing down into the mat. And we're here with lots of space in between our feet. However, you don't want your feet like you're on a tightrope. You can move that right foot out to the right edge of your mat a little bit so that you can square your hips and shoulders towards the front of the mat. This is warrior number one. Breathe in. As you breathe out, we're going to shift into warrior number two. So our feet switch up a little bit. The heel of our front foot is lined up with the middle part of our back foot. Arms are out like a letter T. There's a big bend in our front knee. And our dristi, where we look and focus, is over our front middle finger. So that right hand, that middle finger. And we're here in warrior number two. And we're going to breathe. We're going to stretch out that front leg. And then we're going to breathe out, come back into warrior number two. Breathe in. And breathe out. And then flip your front palm. Reverse. Stretch it back. As you exhale, bring your hands down. We're going to come into table. Bring belly, chest, chin, and forehead down. Hands are right underneath your shoulders. Breathe in, cobra. Breathe out, bring it back down. Breathe in, table. Breathe out, downward facing dog. And now we're going to do it on the left side. So lift that left foot up. Make sure those toes are pointed down towards the mat. Your left heel is stretching. Look forward, step that left foot to your left thumb. Pause here for just a minute. Make sure your feet are not on a tightrope. That back heel is going to spin in and down. Root into those feet to rise. Pull back on your left hip. Let your right hip press forward. Take your arms up by your ears. Remember that outside edge of the back foot is really pressing down into the mat. You're bending into your left knee. Breathe in and breathe out. Warrior number one. Breathe in. As you breathe out, warrior number two. Sorry that my back is to you guys. Arms are out like a T. That left knee is bending deeply. That left heel is lined up with the middle part of that back foot. And your dristi is over that front middle finger. Let's breathe in, straighten it out. And let's breathe out. Warrior number two. Breathe it in. Breathe it out. Flip your front palm. Reverse. Breathe in. As you breathe out, let's bring it down to the mat. Let's do a high push-up. Low push-up. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, child's pose. Yeah, get yourself recentered. Return to your breathing. All right. We are going to come all the way down onto our bellies again. And we're going to make our way into a pose called bow pose. Okay? It's a big back bend. If that does not feel comfortable on your back, you can skip it. Okay? You can come back into child's pose. But let's give it a try. So you're going to come all the way down onto your belly. You're going to bring your legs together. And we're just going to do a little warm up here for our backs before we get right into that bow pose. So lift that heart and head. Try to lift your feet and legs and hands. This is locust pose. Just kind of flying here like a superhero. And then let's bring it all the way down. And then bend both of your knees, let your feet kind of windshield wiper side to side. And then you're going to reach back, grabbing the tops of your feet or your ankles. Okay? Flex your feet a ton. Okay? And then you're going to press those ankles and feet back into your hands and try to lift your belly, your chest and head up off the floor. Yeah. Keep kicking those feet into your hands to lift your heart. Breathe in, breathe out, let it all go. Bring yourself back down. Windshield wiper those legs. Nice. Okay. Come on back up into tabletop. And we're going to set up for something called half pigeon. Okay? This is a hip opener. Okay? If it's not comfy for you, you can do a figure 4 on your back like this. Okay? This is another good hip opener if half pigeon is not feeling so great. But here's how we're going to set it up. We're going to let our left leg come back behind us. Our right leg, we're going to try to get that right thigh to line up with the outside edge of our mat and our shin to line up with the top of our mat. Okay? That right foot is going to flex. You're going to roll onto your back knee, that left knee, and the top of your left foot should be on the mat. From here, you can drop down onto your elbows and then relax your head and neck. If you need a little more, you can stretch your hands all the way out and bring your forehead down onto the mat. If there's any pain in your knee, you want to pull your heel, your right heel, in towards your body. Okay? This is half pigeon. We're going to hold it maybe for 6 or 7 breaths. Just really allowing, it might feel uncomfortable, but really send breath into those parts of your body that are feeling uncomfortable. If it's hurting you, you obviously want to come out of the pose, hurting your knee or hip in any way. And then if you have anything around, and you can kind of put it right underneath that right hip to kind of prop yourself up in that proper position so you're getting a good hip stretch. If you have a block or a little pillow somewhere around you or a blanket that you can fold, you're just going to stuff it right underneath that right thigh. And then allow yourself to be in the pose for another 3 breaths. And 2. And 1. And then we'll switch sides. So take your hands down, lift your chest up, maybe look up, breathe in, and then we'll switch sides. So now that left leg is coming forward, so you're bringing your left knee towards your left wrist, and then those left toes towards your right wrist. That's another way you can cue it and line yourself up. So this side feels totally different than my other side. I'm rolling on to the knee of my right leg. My right foot is pressing down into the mat. I'm going to take a big breath in, and then I'm going to slowly lower my elbows down. I pull my my left heel close to my body on this side because sometimes I have a little pain in my left knee. You can do the same. And just allow yourself to be here. in this half pigeon. Take a big breath in and a big breath out. Breathe in and breathe out. Take another deep breath in through your nose and allow yourself to let it go. And then bring your hands under your shoulders, lift your chest, breathe in, and then come on out of that pose. You're gonna swing your feet around to the front of your mat, kind of shake your legs out a little bit, and we're gonna get onto our backs, get our feet up over our head for an inversion. I think for our first couple videos, we've really just been bringing our feet up over our head, this is perfectly fine. But if you are familiar with a shoulder stand, you can go ahead and do that. What you want to do is make sure that your toes in a shoulder stand are coming straight up towards the ceiling, that you're not really allowing them to lift and be over your head. That's a different pose. So a shoulder stand looks like this. I'm on my shoulders, my elbows are helping me get into this pose. My hands are holding my low back, and my head, the back of my head is pressed into the mat, and my chin is tucked. And then you can slowly lower yourself all the way back down. So that's a shoulder stand. And I'm just going to pause here with my feet over my head and let my hands drop out to the sides. Take a long, deep breath in and a breath out. I'm going to allow my knees to come into my belly and give myself a nice big hug. Rock side to side. I'm going to let my arms come out like a T. Drop both knees over to the right, looking left. Nice spinal twist. Maybe you get a good back crack. I just did. I'm going to switch this over to the other side. And we're getting ready to set up for Shavasana, our resting pose. Knees drop left, look right. Remember, I might be moving around while you guys are in Shavasana. You just hold the pose, stay there, pay attention to yourself, not me. Allow yourself to really relax and take these few minutes to just rest and to be still. So let your feet come out wide, drop your arms down onto the floor along the sides of your body. Palms face the ceiling. Relax your face, muscles, release that any tension in your jaw. A nice soft belly here. And just breathe. Wiggle your fingers and toes. Take a nice full body stretch. Bring your knees into your belly. Give yourself a big giant squeeze and hug. Roll over onto your right side into a fetal position. Hold it there for a moment. And moving slowly, when you're ready, come on back up to a comfy seated position on your mat where we began class. Take your hands onto your knees. Roll your shoulder blades together and down your back. Take a long breath in. Take your hands up over your head. Exhale, bring your hands to heart center. And then allowing your thumb knuckles to press into your third eye center, the space between your brows, your wise old owl. Yep, that front of the brain. And let's take a long breath in. Maybe look up. And then together we'll bow and say namaste. All right. Hope you enjoyed today's class. Stay well, be happy, friends, and I'll see you again.